now that you guys have done what I've asked you to do, that's what's going to lead us into our third lesson, which is substance, style, and sparkle. This has actually been one of my favorite activities of almost any training that I've done. You guys have already done the first half of the activity. Oh, it was eggs, ham, and cheese. Somebody was asking what I was eating. One of the questions that comes up a lot up to this point in the training is, all right, so we want to try to keep the audience bits. We want to try to keep the audience bits. I get it, but how? What can we do? And that's why it's so important to cover these three categories of attributes. These are all categories of attributes. You've probably heard of them in different formats. The first one is substance, which I just refer to as overall the content itself, the meat, the content, the substance, and also some aspects of the presenter themselves. So did the presenter have slides? You know, did they have technical content on the slides? Did they have other kinds of content on the slides? Did they do a demo? Did they do a whiteboard? Do they have clear points? Do they have a clear message? Easy to understand their message. And then as far as the presenter goes, are they knowledgeable about their subject? Are they organized and prepared? All of those attributes fall under content. And I'm guessing some of you may have a couple of those attributes, something similar to those attributes in the list that you put together in your breakout rooms. Just hold that thought for just a couple moments. Then the next category is style. It has nothing to do with how I'm dressed or how my hair looks. Style encompasses two aspects: verbal and facial communications, what I can convey with my face and what I can convey with my voice. For the voice, it's all the aspects of vocal skills that you've heard of, your volume. You have strong volume, which commands confidence, or they have a very light volume. They sound very passive and quiet. A good cadence. Vocal quality to me is very important. A few of you put that note in that first video that we watched today, that presenter had a very monotone presentation. Nobody wants to listen to that for 45 minutes. I like my presenters to have highs and lows in their presentation. We have some very exciting news to share with you, but we have to be cautious. You want ups and downs and keep it interesting. And then articulation. You want to make sure you're clear. All of your words are coming across, especially when you're dealing with people of different languages. It can be very hard to understand languages, so try to speak very clearly and enunciate your words. And for the face, what can I convey just with my face? Both of these apply to Zoom. So does the first category, substance. All of that applies to Zoom as well. These all apply to Zoom. Your voice, everything about your voice comes across in Zoom. And your face. Your face can convey confidence. Passion and enthusiasm are two words that kind of get interchanged, but they do mean two totally different things. Enthusiasm. Some of you may remember a CEO from Microsoft, and he used to come out to start his presentations. He'd be like, "Hey, everybody, how y'all doing?" And he'd be bouncing around the stage. That is a lot of enthusiasm. And that's great. That wakes people up. Passion is a little bit different. That's something we saw in the second video of that presenter this morning. He was talking about something he was passionate about, stress. You have to have passion with what you're speaking about. You have to love your company. You have to love your products. You have to really, truly believe in your products. I've always said that one of the hardest jobs, I think, would be a vacuum cleaner salesperson, because you really have to feel and believe that this vacuum cleaner is the next best thing to sliced bread. If you aren't passionate about what you're speaking of, Your audience isn't going to get passionate about it either. And if they're not passionate about it, they're probably not going to buy what we're selling, so to speak. Sincerity is another important one. We don't want to come across like we're just telling them what they want to hear so that we can make a sale. They have to believe that you are sincerely concerned about their issues. And finally, personality. You can really convey just a lightness in your face. You've got a good personality. We all like hanging out with people that have good personalities. And we like being presented to with people with good personalities. So that all fits under style. Again, you probably have some attributes on your list that might fit in that category. And then finally, we have sparkle. I call this the above and beyond category. Everything above and beyond. It goes actually far more than nonverbal. I probably should change that. But everything involving body language, your eye contact, your gestures, your movement, all of that is sparkle. And then this list is something that I would encourage you all to try to incorporate in some manner some of these attributes using analogies or anecdotes to explain your story. Different forms of audience participation, which I've already done several of. I thought that was one of the best parts of Laurent's presentation yesterday, was using audience participation. Audiences like to be involved. Brianna, I want to know what's so funny, but you don't have to share.
There's no Riz in this list. That's why.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. Now, earlier we talked about substance, content. Okay. I'll give you that. But are their slides creative? Did they create good slides that actually help tell the story? It wasn't just bulletless slides. Did they do a whiteboard that was interactive and they got information from the audience and they changed their whiteboard based on what the audience was giving them? Did they do more than just the run-of-the-mill demo where they're just clicking on buttons and radio buttons and clicking on OK? Did they actually show value? Were they creative? Would you call them entertaining? We don't have to be entertainers, but let's face it, it's better to be an entertainer than not. Humor goes a long ways. I'm not saying that any of you needs to become comedians. Nobody wants to come out and start their presentation with a joke that nobody laughs to. That's not what I'm talking about. Humor is something we can just add, humor in context. If they don't laugh, no worries, but people will probably be laughing on the inside. I tend to add humor in the form of my slides, maybe some funny images or a funny video from point to point. People like to laugh, and people remember when they laughed. Having a strong opening and closing. The guy earlier today, even when he did his second presentation on stress, I would still encourage him, let's create a stronger opening, and I'll give him some ideas, and I'll give you some ideas later as well. Having a strong opening and a strong closing is really important to your presentation. You all come from very interesting backgrounds, different companies. Maybe some of you used Forescout in your past companies, or you were partners. You have real life examples. Use them. Customers like hearing how Forescout solved your problems, not just how you're telling them it's going to solve their problems because you think it will. And then we saw this earlier with the stress presentation. He related it to his audience. His audience got it. They understood it. So relating your message to your audience, above and beyond, sparkle. I love when a presenter is a good storyteller. You can just feel it. You can tell somebody's a good storyteller, and you are the audience that keeps their attention when somebody's being a good storyteller. That's a way to keep people's bits. And then finally, we talked about this earlier, keeping it simple. When you're able to take something complex and explain it in a simple way, that is above and beyond. That is sparkle. So here's what we're going to do. I am now going to share this with you all. I was just waiting till we were all ready. And you guys are going to be taking one person from each group. I don't care who. You can kind of just decide amongst yourselves. I'm putting this spreadsheet in the group chat. So at this point, one member from each group, I'd like you to go to the spreadsheet and under team 1, team 2, team 3, team 4, team 5, place your attributes. Do you think it was substance? Do you think it was style? Or do you think it was sparkle? You can decide, and I will move them around if they're not correct. I'm going to give you guys about 2 minutes to work on this, and you can kind of help each other out. I know it's going to get kind of loud. That's okay.
Can you freeze the title column, title rows, please?
Absolutely.
You want to do a quick breakout session or you want to do it?
No, because then you guys won't have access to the PowerPoint. Or I'm sorry, the Excel.
Oh,
Actually, maybe you will, but it's okay. We did it. They did it fine the last time.
I do love how it announces everyone that's on it. So and so is here.
Yeah, I don't remember my my team number.
but if you're with me, you're team 3, and we're gonna obviously own this.
We
All
are
right.
team 7.
Tell you what,
Team
let
7.
me see if
Yeah, team
let's try
7.
this. Maybe it's a good idea. Maybe we'll try the breakout. I think you'll still have access to the Excel. So take a couple of minutes in your breakouts to fill it out. I like that idea.
All right, thanks.
My apologies if everybody wasn't done, but I don't want to take too much time off of this. So what I need to do is I need to move some things around. I'm just going to kind of do it willy-nilly here like I did last time. And I might ask some questions. There's something up here. Trusted for the subject. I don't know what that means. What does that mean? Somebody has to tell me. What does trusted for the subject mean?
Sounds like credible to me.
Credible or
Trusted
trusted
advisor.
authority? Trusted authority, maybe? I don't know. I didn't put it, but just.
Okay, I'm going to put
Well,
that here. I'm going to just
We,
say
we need
that's
to trust the
fine.
person.
Reputation.
Okay, subject
Yeah,
matter expert. It's probably a way of saying subject matter expert.
All right.
Expertise.
I'll leave that under substance. Visual and technical awareness, that just means knowledgeable. No?
Which one?
Visual and technical awareness?
That sounds like sparkle.
It does to me too. I'm not 100% sure what it means. I'm just going to put it there. Knowledgeable is good. If they're dynamic, anytime you use the word dynamic, that to me is above and beyond. Dynamic is above and beyond. Trusted is good, knowledgeable. Reinforcement, I'm assuming what that means is they reinforce their presentation. I'm guessing they're authentic, they're knowledgeable. We said reinforcement twice. Was that intentional, you guys?
Looks like they were reinforcing the reinforcement.
Yeah, right. Is that not intentional? Should I remove that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Handle detail in a simple way. Remember, anytime you see the word simple, when somebody's doing something and they're doing it in a simple way, that goes over here. That's sparkle. Always. Subject expertise, that means they're knowledgeable, they know what they're talking about. Relating to the audience. Knowing the audience, relating to the audience, I call them the same things. Relating something to the audience, we had put over here. Expertise, props, I'm sorry. Anytime you're using props, you're using images, any of that, that is absolutely the definition of sparkle. Not that you're getting these wrong. This isn't a bad thing. I just want to put them in the right spot. Making the intangible tangible. To me, that sounds like simplifying. To me, that sounds like simplifying.
How did you
You're
make
making-
simplifying versus
You're making something complicated, understandable. That's to me is simplifying. Simple explanation, complex topics. There we go again. Again, not a bad thing. Just being honest here.
Isn't that a clear message though? Isn't that part of a clear message?
Well, let me see. How is it worded again? I forgot where I put it. Oh, simple explanation of complex topics. Is that what the one? No, that's making something easy to understand. That's not a clear message. It could be, but this is simple explanation. That means you didn't make it complicated. It's a good thing. It's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Trusted for the subject, knowledgeable, clear, concise, real experience. It's all good. Real experience could be part of that
Yeah, we put it
Real
in
life,
both
real life.
because of the fact that the real life gives you the subject matter expert capabilities, but
Okay.
at the same time, we feel it's in the Riz category too, right?
Okay.
So
Sounds good. And they're prepared. That's good. Gestures. Gestures is body language. Body language goes over here. Anything body language, including gestures, is under Sparkle. Facial expressions, good. Body language. Body language down here. Okay. Sorry. Oh, you guys got a lot more than the first group. Clarity, communication skills, calm, that's good. High energy, eye contact is body language. Oh my goodness. Confidence, body language. All here. Intention, storyteller, that is Sparkle. I think you get the idea here. I'm going to leave engaging here, customizing the message for the audience. That is not style. That's either substance or Sparkle. But they're customizing for the audience. That's definitely knowing your audience. That is Sparkle. Graphic slides, creative slides. Whoops. Creative slides, creativity, all of that. That goes here. Sorry. That went here. And visualize goes here. Boy. Situational awareness and short stutter. That's a good thing? Or they don't have a stutter. You like the stutter?
so there are
The
some
con-
speakers that have stutters. So yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Present, situation awareness, cadence, professional dress. Okay. Memorable. If you're memorable, that has nothing to do with your face. That's your above and beyond skills.
Have you seen some
Again.
people's faces?
Well, sure. Engagement with his voice, that's good. Audience engagement, that means the audience was engaged. They were involved. I'm just going to put that over here because I think that's fair. No saying ums, that's good. Or timing is good. Eye contact, body language, customer engagement, those both go over here. And then we have a whole lot over here that we've already seen some. What else do we have over here? Make sure that these are all right. Strong opening, interaction, relatability, that's good. Visual technical awareness, dynamic, good storytelling, personalization, good tone, humor, showmanship, well-dressed, knowing the audience, great. British accent, Riz. This is all great. I want to make sure that this is correct. A47, how far did we go? We went down to A51. Okay. This is not going to be perfect, but the reason I like this activity so much is because I could come here today and I could just tell you guys, these are the important attributes. Listen to me. These are the attributes you should do because people like it. That's not what we did. 25 minutes ago, I asked you to think of somebody that you find captivating, engaging, great presenter. And then I asked you why. Why did you think they were good? These are the answers you gave. This is what you liked as a group in terms of presenters. Now, audiences have been surveyed for decades about what they like when it comes to presenters. And they always fall into these three categories. They always fall into these three categories. So on average, you can put this in the chat window. I'm actually curious to see your suggestions in the chat window. What percentage of attributes that people share that they find valuable, impactful, and engaging and memorable, what percentage of attributes do you think came from the first category, substance? Just put in some guesses. 23, 10 to 15, 10, 10, 20, 10. All right, you're all very close. The most accurate answer I have gotten is 17. What about under style? Verbal communication, the face, what you can convey here, your voice, what percentage of attributes do you think came from that category? Well, Will read my number, obviously. He must have, or else he's just very good because it's 33%. 33%, which is fantastic. If you're good at math, do you know what came in the final category? Sparkle. Oh, Laurent, you're not good at math. It is, in fact, 50% of what audiences like comes from this category. Now, to do the next part, I have to do one thing really quickly here. I have to pull up my calculator. Come on. Because I have to see how many total responses you guys gave. Just waiting for my slow computer here. All right, come on. Where's my calculator? Anybody know what 47, 57, 67, 68, 78, 83. So we had a total of 83 attributes, which means you guys collectively as a group gave, well, that should not be 0. Why does it always keep happening? Oh, gee, C2. Sorry, thought I had this right. So 18%, look at that. You guys are literally 1% off of the average audience. How about the second one? %, you put in the second column, and for Sparkle, you put 57%. I'm going to summarize this this third subject that we've gone over today by telling you that I have done this training all over the world. I've done this in Tokyo, Japan, in Beijing, China. Same exact activity. In China, I had to have a translator translate all these attributes for me. The percentages have almost always been, for 15 years, within 3 or 4% of those three numbers that we have, 17, 33, and 50. What does that mean?
If you are a good
What that means is, well, it is true that audiences want content. They want technical content. That's why they came. What do they remember? What do they find valuable? What do they find engaging? It's this stuff. It's all these things that you mentioned. That's what audiences remember. That's what keeps them passionate about you and listening to you. And that's why I've always loved this activity, because I could just tell you all these things. But instead, I had you guys tell me. Now let's go the opposite spectrum. What's a terrible presenter? Share your thoughts in the chat window, one per person. Give me a description of the worst presenter you've ever seen. How do you describe them? Good stuff. Got a lot of good ones here. Lack of eye contact, boring, unrelatable, monotone, reading, intoxicated, interesting, cringy, boring, monotone, 3 unprepareds, and more monotone. The list I came up with was just from the internet. I kind of change it every year. Lack of a good opening, no outline. When you don't have a good outline, what tends to happen is your presentation kind of goes like this. It's all over the place, and it's very hard to follow. Distracting body language, no thought given to who you're presenting to. These are the worst traits people have said. No connection with the audience, not being prepared, not being inspiring at all. I love effective pauses. I want to give you a sentence 2 different ways. Organizations are spending tens of billions of dollars in fees. We at Forescout can help you eliminate those fees. Or I could say, organizations are spending tens of billions of dollars in fees. We at Forescout can help you eliminate those fees. Sometimes when you don't pause, we skip over things that are incredibly important. The audience needs a moment to absorb what we just shared. So pausing has a lot of value, makes your presentation more enjoyable to watch, but it also lets you punch certain parts of your presentation. Time management is very important, especially when you're at a customer site. If you've got 50 minutes, you need to know where you are. The worst thing that can happen is you're right up on the edge of your 50 minutes. They're all getting up to leave because they've got another meeting. You haven't even done your closing yet. And you haven't had a chance to give them your powerful closing and ask for a follow-up meeting. So you need to keep track. Nobody wants to be kept late. Too much information on your slides, too much text, too much charts, content. I say anytime you go present, go through your slides and remove 10 words. Just remove 10 words every time you present. It's a good idea. So what I want to see you guys do is none of this and lots of this. Start trying to incorporate some of these great things. Now, if we were doing my full presentation in person, you would all have an opportunity to create a presentation and present to us and get feedback. We can't do that over our short time, but be thinking about trying to practice in front of somebody and get some good feedback. Now let's talk about body language real quickly. And what I'm going to ask you all to do is I'm going to ask you all to stand up. I'm going to ask you all to stand up, please. Everybody, stand. Everybody, you don't have to move your camera. I am, but you don't have to. By the way, this is more audience participation. And I would like you all to stick your right arm out in front of you. And then point your index finger. And then start making a circle with your index finger. Circle with your index finger. Now, while you're making the circle with your index finger, I'd like you to bring your index finger to your chin, please. So how many are on the chin? Correct. Quite a few of you, not bad. I see some of you with your index finger on your cheek, which is odd. That's certainly not what I told you to do. You can all sit, and I encourage you to have that fun with your family later. Interesting how so many of you have your finger on your cheek when that's clearly not what I asked you to do. So my question, and you can put this in the chat window, your answer. If a presenter's words that they're speaking and their body language are not in sync, which one has more impact on an audience, words or body language? And everybody's saying the same thing. Everyone's saying body language. And that was evidence. A lot of you did the right thing, which was great. You went to your chin, which was great. In the morning session, almost everybody went to their cheek. I would say about 80% of the time, that's what happens. Even though my words clearly gave you the instructions, you followed my body language. Now, the problem with this is when we have bad body language, we may give off messages to the audience that we are not intending to give off about us, about who we are, what kind of presenters we are, and what we believe in. So it's important to take a look at body language. First off, 93% is a number that speaks to how much of a message people get from body language versus words. 93% of what people get from a message comes from the presenter's body language. 7% from their words. So we're going to look at some distracting body language. This is going to be another interactive activity. You're going to use the chat window. And I'm going to show you a video. It's about 30 seconds long. And what I'd like you to do is just rapid fire as many bad body language, distracting body language elements you see from this presenter. What makes this presenter bad in general? Here we go.
So I just wanted to talk about our new HR policies because it's important for us to review them. And I put them up on a slide. Is that the slide? Boy, it doesn't look like the one that I created. But anyway, well, let me just talk about them because I think it's enough for us to just talk about the new policies. We've got a few new rules to follow. One of them is that we have to make sure that we include all of our receipts on separate sheets of paper because the HR has to keep track of all of our separate receipts and different files, and it's going to be hard. I mean, I think it's going to be hard too, but I don't know. Keeping track of all those receipts is difficult, but that's what we have to try to do. So, in addition to that, most things are going to be online because the younger people, it's important to them that it's online.
You guys got some great answers. I'm gonna keep this chat window saved and send it to you. But I mean, you got it all. Pretty much everything you got was bad. Some really good feedback there. Negative, Lyle. What do you mean by negative? How is she negative?
So that was the story of her body language. So she was saying her tone was negative about the responsibilities that she was expressing, right? And she wasn't keeping her eye contact as well, like she was looking down. And then she classified young people as something that is also negative as part of the communication. And she literally downplayed the whole story.
Yeah, how do you think any young people in the audience would have felt by that?
Immediately turned off. Yep.
I don't want to hear what she has to say. Screw her. Yeah. So a lot of bad stuff. I'm just for the sake of so you can see what they call out.
New HR policies because it's
and you guys got a lot more.
And I put them up on a slide. Is that the slide? Boy, it doesn't look like the one that I created. But anyway, well, let me just talk about them because I think it's enough for us to just talk about the new policies.
Turn her
We've
back.
got a few new rules to follow. One of them is that we have to make sure that we include all of our receipts on separate sheets of paper because the HR has to keep track of all of our separate receipts and different files, and it's going to be hard. I mean, I think it's going to be hard too, but I don't know. Keeping track of all those receipts is difficult, but that's what we have to try to do. So, in addition to that, most things are going to be online because the younger people, it's important to them that it's online.
And we talked about having a good, strong opening and a good, strong closing. What makes a better, strong closing than a disdainful sneer? Just what our audiences want to see, right? So we're going to talk about different aspects of body language, starting with our hands. How many of you raise your hand for me if you've struggled before with what to do with your hands when you're standing up in front of people? Anybody have a hard time with that? It can be tricky. It could be hard. I do stage acting, and even when you're on the stage, your hands suddenly feel like two odd, aliens attached to your body. You're not alone. A lot of people struggle with what to do with their hands.
Ricky, first of all, where did you learn to drive like that?
The car had rig in it. Yeah.
Can you speak up, Ricky?
The car, it had a shift, and I'm not sure what to do with my hands.
Be good just to hold them down by your side. Yeah, great.
Well, we were real happy with what was going on, and at the end of the day, you got to be happy.
Whatever the hell his name is, let's get him over here.
Everything ended up fine.
Yeah, okay, everything was fine. Thanks, great job, Ricky. Good job in the car. Ricky Bobby, a force to be reckoned with possibly in the near future. Ricky.
So a little humor, obviously. And again, humor is always good. But it's true. How you present yourself with your hands can, again, give off a message to your audience that's maybe unintended. This is a very nonchalant, it's not important, I'm not important, it's way too casual, I'm too casual message. It's rarely ever going to be advisable to put your hands in your pockets while you are presenting in front of people. I almost think if you have any pants that don't have pockets, you might be better off wearing those. Whereas this is a very confrontational message. It creates a barrier between me and you. And again, if I'm in front of an audience saying, I'm so glad to be here today with you all, they're hearing my words, but they're seeing my action. And what my action is I'm not that excited to be with you, and I'm trying to keep you at arm's distance. So not a great stance either. And we saw her with the hands on the hips as well. Not really the best in terms of how we want to come across with the hands on our hips. In fact, I want to show you, a lot of people aren't really even sure what we call our base posture. Our base posture. Again, stand up for me if you would. Knowing your base posture, and again, this is really relevant only if you are presenting in front of people, which I'm sure you're all going to do. I'm sure you're all going to get this opportunity to present in front of people. So to find your base posture, what you do is you put your feet about shoulder width apart. And then put your hands over your head and look up at your hands. Look up at your hands as your hands are wiggling your fingers, wiggling your fingers. Keep your head up. Keep your head up while you drop your hands to your sides. Head up. Now, look down. Look at your hands. Where your hands are, that's your base posture. That's where you are when you're not gesturing. Not here, not there, not there, not here. At your base posture. And it's okay to stand like that when you're not gesturing. But you should be gesturing. Even over Zoom, I tend to gesture a lot. Even over Zoom, I gesture. And the only downside to gesturing over Zoom is when we have these virtual backgrounds. Because you may have noticed that sometimes your hands do weird things with these virtual backgrounds. But you can still convey a little bit with your hands. However, when you're in person, you really can do a lot with gesturing. A weak gesture, what is a weak gesture? She did this in her presentation where she was gesturing down. That's a weak gesture, anything below your waist. You want your gestures to be above your waist. Everything above your waist with nice open hands, no closed fist, no clenched fists. This looks tense. I'm tense. I'm stressed. We don't want that appearance. Nice open fist with palms up, not palms down. While we're talking, while we convey power, you can use your hands to tell your story. Forescout, I still do that. I still use my old company name. Forescout solves problems. You know, you use your hands. In the theater world, we're told to always act for the back row, not the front row, but the back row. So if I want to say, Forescout solves huge customer problems, that's not huge. That's huge. Huge customer problems. So really, these big gestures to fill your space. Avoid crossing your body. We solve challenges with customers from the East Coast to the West Coast. Well, that's really odd and awkward. I've got arms on both sides of my body. East Coast, West Coast, up and down. Don't cross your body. Don't use both arms for the same gesture, because what we want to avoid is becoming a juggler or constant gesturing. Okay, my instructor told me to use gesture. So hi, I'm here today to talk about how we can help you solve a lot of your, look at me, I'm gesturing, it's fantastic. No, it's not. This is now distracting and odd and awkward. So you don't want to do constant gesturing. If you've ever gone and seen a good rock concert before, while they're on stage, they've got these moments where suddenly the guitar player is doing his solo riff on the guitar. That's not made up on the moment, on the fly. That is well rehearsed. And your presentations also can and should be well rehearsed. You should know when you're going to use this gesture, when you're going to talk about this, how you're going to use your body to convey your story better. I like to talk about how we can become our product. For example, Forescout, we reach out and get information from devices. They send that information back to us. And then our product can then take that information and share it with our console, our enterprise manager. We're now telling the story with our gestures and with our body. I always gesture to the side, not to the front. We're not an airplane flight attendant. We're going out to the side at all times. A lot of people, tell me they have a really hard time getting the use of gesturing. And just like anything that's hard to learn, the only way you can learn it and get better at it is to do it, to try to put it to use. So as you have an opportunity to be in front of people, give it a try. The more you do it, the more natural it will become. Now let's talk about eye contact. The power and importance of eye contact. First off, we saw the girl in the earlier video do a couple bad forms of eye contact. At one point, she was looking down at the floor. Now, when I'm looking down at the floor, hi there, I'm here today to talk about what kind of a message does that give across? You can come off mute. What does that tell your audience? What do you
You're shy,
think?
you're not confident.
Not confident, lack of confidence. Looking down at the floor conveys lack of confidence. That's not the message we want to give across to our audience. We also saw her doing this a lot. And then another thing that we can do is we can solve this problem. What message does that give across?
He's deep in thought and not fully present.
Yeah.
Deep in thought, typically trying to figure out what's next. Where am I in the presentation? Did I miss something? What am I? Okay, what's
prepared,
next?
Lost. Not
prepared. It gives across an illusion of not being prepared. Now remember back, those of you that are married, remember back to when you went on first dates with somebody. If you're single, you're probably still doing it. And you're on a first date. And the two of you are sitting across the table from each other. And you're each looking up over here to the side and down at the bread basket and over at the table and this and that, back and forth the whole night. In the chat window, write up and tell me what is not being established between these two people. What are they not establishing? Eye contact, yes. But I'm seeing connection is what I'm looking for. They are not creating a connection. No connection between them. Now, if they don't have a connection after this first date, what do you suppose are the odds of them having a second date? 0. Thank you, Andy. Not very high. So, guess what? We have the same situation when we present to an audience. We can create a connection. We want to create a connection. If we can create a connection with our audience, they're going to want to see us again. They want to have a second date with us. So, some of my tips for eye contact, because this is difficult for a lot of people. We don't want to scan the room, looking at all my attendees like this. Oh, I'm looking at everybody. I'm looking at everybody. That's not eye contact, and that becomes distracting body language. I say give every audience member a good 3 seconds. As you talk, you're sharing, you're looking at one member, you're talking and continuing your sentence as you look to another member and so forth. 3 seconds, that's how long it can take for them to feel like you're creating a connection with them.
Chris, but what do we do? A lot of us speak at trade shows, so we'll have anywhere from 60 to 500.
You're jumping ahead, and that's great.
Oh, sorry,
I'm going to use that as my segue.
Okay.
Some people will say, you know what, if that makes you uncomfortable looking at people in the eyes, the eye contact, look over their heads, look over their heads. Well, you know what? I can tell when people are doing that. I can tell their eyes are not gazed on me. And that actually makes me feel even more creepy as an audience member. So what I say is if you're a little uncomfortable giving somebody their eye contact, look at them right between their eyebrows. Focus right between their eyebrows. It will look like you're looking at them in their eyes and you're getting an eye contact with them. And as you have that eye contact with your audience, they're going to feel connected with you even more, and you're going to be very likely to secure that second date. I skipped the fourth bullet there. Avoid getting that excessive stare at one person. We get caught in our head. Wait a minute, did I forget a word? Did I forget a word? Wait, oh gosh, and now I'm staring at one person for too long. That almost becomes uncomfortable. That person gets a little fidgety in their seat. Stop staring at me. Ah, here we go. But I have a huge audience. 200, 300, 400 people. There's absolutely no way I can stare at everybody. Or not stare, I shouldn't say that. There's no way I can have eye contact with everybody. So clearly, the idea of having a connection is completely thrown out the window, right? Wrong. Because that's how we can use movement to our advantage. I love using movement. Clearly not something we can do over Zoom. And by the way, going back to eye contact for just a moment, I talked about this in our Zoom training over a month ago, that when you're presenting over Zoom, remember that your audience is not here where I'm looking at. Scott, I'm looking right at you right now, aren't I? No, I'm not. I'm not looking at you, Scott. No, it doesn't look like I'm looking at anybody. This is how you connect with your audience over Zoom. You want to spend as much time as possible really connecting with your audience by looking in the camera. That's going to appear that you're right across the table from them. So keep that in mind. But let's go back to movement again. You guys don't have to stand, but I'm going to. Whenever you're in person with people, even if it's just 10 people in a conference room, you should be standing in front of them, commanding the room, not sitting down with them. You should be standing, commanding the room with your PowerPoint behind you and using movement to your advantage. The way that I use movement is if I've got people here and here, over here and over here, or it's a big audience. What I'll do is, well, I'm jumping ahead here. Oh, I forgot to ask you this question. Okay. E-learnings. I know I'm switching topics here real quickly here. E-learnings. How many of you, raise your hand for me, if you've ever had to watch an e-learning that made you feel like this? Raise your hand. I expect everybody's hand to go up because I know I've been through them myself. I learned as a course developer quite a few years ago, I learned that when I develop e-learnings, I try to have something happen on the screen about every 15 seconds, whether it's a call out, whether it's a rectangle that goes around something, whether an image pops up on the screen, every 15 seconds. I would like you in the chat window for me, tell me what part of your body is being activated when something happens on the screen every 15 seconds. What part of your body is being activated? I see a lot of eyes and I see one brain. Actually, it's both. And I see a neck, which is interesting. It's mainly the eyes. Your eyes are being activated. Your eyes are being forced to look here and look there and look there and look there. And your eyes are attached to your brain. So when you keep your eyes engaged, your brain stays more engaged, which can then cause e-learnings like that to happen. It's more interesting and it keeps the audience more involved with their e-learning. Well, the same thing happens when in-person presenting. If somebody is standing behind a podium for the entire hour presentation, even if they're captivating, even if they're engaging, have a good voice, you might still see an audience that looks like this. They're checked out. We can still engage them with our eyes by movement. That's what movement can do. Movement can do two things. Number one, it helps keep their eyes engaged. As you move to this side of the room, they have to follow you. And then as you move to this side of the room, they follow you. So their eyes are going to stay engaged more than if you were standing behind the podium. So that's benefit number one. Benefit number two, back to connection again. Connecting to your audience. So the question Lyle asked earlier is, I have a big audience. I can't give everybody eye contact. Well, guess what? You can use your movement to accomplish that. Before I show you another picture, I just want to give you 2 rules of movement in any size of a room. Here's what you want to avoid, okay? So here at Forescout, we have many solutions that will help all of your needs. We can help you with your cybersecurity. We can help make sure that all your devices are kept compliant. Oh, you know what I'm doing? My presenter told me to do. I'm moving. I'm using movement. Well, now you're doing distracting body language. You're pacing. You're pacing. Your movement has no purpose. Your movement has to have a purpose. So for me, when I'm in a room and I got people over here and I got people over here, my purpose for moving towards the right is because they're feeling a little left out. They're feeling a little left out right now. So I'm going to address them. I'm going to come a little closer to them. I'm going to establish my eye contact with each one of them as I finish my sentence. And I'm going to use that second tip, which is plant. I'm planting myself here until I finish my sentence. Then I might move back to the center of the room. And I might have another sentence. But now these guys over here on my left are feeling a little left out. So I'm going to move over here and talk to them and address them as I finish this next sentence and how important it is and establish my eye contact. Now I am connecting with everybody on the right side, everybody on the left side, everybody in the middle. I'm sure many of you have been to concerts before in a big arena. And right in front of the stage, you'll see all these people standing. They call it the mosh pit. And most of the presentation by the singer is given to those people in the mosh pit. And they're standing, they're dancing, they're going crazy. Why? Because they're essentially in the show. They're a part of the show. They're involved in the show, and they're very excited about that. Whereas me, I paid a hell of a lot of money for seats just right up here. We're just right up here. I got great seats. But I'm feeling totally left out. So I'm kind of more of an observer of the show. Well, good presenters will have platforms on either side of the stage. And quite often during the show, different numbers, they'll go over to the right side of the stage and go up on the platform, and they'll sing out to all the people up in this section of the audience. And guess what that whole section of the audience is doing then? They're almost all on their feet, cheering, dancing, screaming, excited. Why? Because they're now in the show. They're involved in the show. They're connected. And that's what the movement can do. This performer was able to connect to all these people simply by coming over to them and addressing them. That's the power of movement. And you have the same opportunity when you're presenting. And then we have audience participation. I think one of the best things you can do in most of your presentations is have questions ready to go, built into your presentation, like I've been doing, so that you don't forget to ask them. People like to be questioned. They like to talk. They like to give their thoughts. But I do recommend open questions over closed questions. Who can give an example of a closed question? What is a closed question? Anybody? Give me an example.
Any question that ends with a yes or a no.
Well, give me an example.
Is the
Is this sun up today?
Yes. Okay. A closed question is one that does not elicit conversation, closes the conversation off. And that's not a good way to have a communication. What was the question you just asked? I didn't quite hear it, because I'm going to use that.
Well, I said
The
is
last
one, and somebody else is the sun up today.
is the sun up today? Okay. This is going to be an interesting challenge. Who can re-ask that question as an open question?
Hey, can you tell me how the weather is in your area today?
Great. Tell me about the weather today. Yeah, tell me about the weather today. So instead of saying, is security a concern at your company? To me, that's an insulting question. I'm like, yeah, of course. What do you think I'm an idiot? How about tell me about your security concerns at your company? But have these questions ready to go. Let them be involved in the conversation. And then some of these other options that we talked about in our last Zoom training, breakout rooms, you can do them in person or you can do them in Zoom. Activities like we've been doing in this training, polls and quizzes and knowledge checks. Those are all great ways to have audience participation. And then finally, just think of your overall body language. How am I presenting myself? Do I look like I'm having a good time? Because if I don't look like I'm having a good time, I tell you, the audience is not going to be having a good time. This person does not look friendly. She looks mean. Same person, totally different demeanor. A smile goes a long ways. A pleasant face. I'm happy to be here. People want to know you're having a good time. If you're having a good time, they're likely to have a good time as well.